Sustain 267.
On the line I have with me is climate activist and member of Sustain 267. This is Nicole Rombe. Welcome back to Wired.
Hi, Loretta. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us. Now, I know today you're not alone.
I am not. I have a very special guest from the Department of Meteorological Services, Mr. Steglin. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, madam. And thank you for welcoming me.
Of course. Thank you so much for taking the time. Today, Loretta, should I get right into it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Today, I wanted us to discuss the press statement that was released from the Department of Meteorological Services on the 23rd of April. It gave us a heads up about what to expect this winter from May to July. Things like the warmer than usual temperatures, little rainfall, heads up on things like that. So I was hoping we could discuss that with none other than Mr. Steglin. So I'll get right into it. Mr. Steglin, what sectors have led to the prediction of normal to above normal temperatures across Botswana during this particular period?
Yeah, like you have said, our winter season normally starts in May and ends in July. So it's over a period of 3 months. So we looked into the factors which will affect the winter this season and then come up to try to see how the season is going to be. What we normally do in these instances, we run what we call numerical models, and we input some data into the models and to try and predict how the season is going to be. But most of all, we also look at what we call climate drivers. So what will be driving the climate during this winter season? We have different climate drivers across the globe. Some of it drives our climate in summer, and some drive our climate in winter. During winter, we mostly look at what is known as the southern annual mode, or what we know as the southern annual mode. This refers to the north and south movement of rain-bearing western winds in the Southern Ocean. The Southern Ocean is the region between the tip of our subcontinent going towards the South Pole. So this system has a bearing on how our winter is going to be. We can either have a positive southern annual mode or a negative southern annual mode. We expect this coming winter to be in the positive mode. What this means is that this system is going to be further south than usual. This is the same system that drives a cold front which moves across the southern tip of the subcontinent and brings cold air into our areas, thus bringing very cold winter. Now, since during this year, that system will be further south towards the South Pole, it means even the cold front will be further south. And normally when they are further south, we wouldn't get as much cold air as if they were nearer to us. So that's one of the major factors which influence our climate outlook for this winter, is that system is going to be further south, and as such the frequency and the position of the cold front will be further away from us, which means we are expecting a relatively warmer winter. Another issue or another climate driver we look at is what is known as the Indian Ocean dipole, which is basically the difference in temperatures between the Eastern Indian Ocean and the Western Indian Ocean. It has an influence over our winter season as well. The reason it has an influence over our weather system for our winter is that when we have cloudy days, we tend to have cooler temperatures. So clouds are normally attracted from the Indian Ocean. So whether it's also in a positive phase or a negative phase depends on how much moisture is going to bring into our country and produce cloudy skies. So we don't expect so much cloudy skies this winter. It will probably more of sunny days. So this also impacts on why we say that the winter is going to be relatively warm. Having said that, we must bear in mind that this is over a period of 3 months. It's an average over a period of 3 months, which means it's on a seasonal time scale. So there are going to be days, particularly towards the end of the season, where we will experience a very cold temperature.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sterling. I did notice that you mentioned a lot about the south. I wanted to also find out how might these predicted temperatures and the low rainfall because of the less clouds, how are they going to affect things like agriculture, water resources, and wildlife in regions like the Kalahari and maybe the Ngamiland?
Yes, we must know that our winters are normally dry. We usually get an average of around only 8 millimeters during the winter season. That's over 3 months. That's not a lot of rain. We expect very similar conditions or even less. So we don't expect a lot of rain. However, it must be said that the summer season was very, very well. And we had a lot of vegetation, and we have a lot of water is also still available to take us into the next season, the next rainfall season. So we don't expect any negative impact on especially livestock as well as agriculture in general. However, we have to know that the winter season is not really our flowering season, but we still have what we call horticulture taking place. But horticulture in Botswana is mostly driven through irrigation. However, it's affected by temperature, especially frost. So what this means is that during this season, the instances of frost will be less. So this will actually be an advantage to horticulture farms.
Interesting. Horticulture farming, that is definitely something to look into. As a call to action and basically closing this entire interview, the letter also advised the public to take precautions against the cold weather, which, amazing advice. Well, what specific measures do you think the department itself recommends, especially for vulnerable groups such as maybe the elderly and rural communities?
Yes, Madam, like you said, although we're taking a warm winter, there will be some cold days, especially towards the end of the season. That's around July. That's when we usually have cold temperatures. There are several ways we can protect ourselves, mainly by wearing warm clothing. And especially when you wear warm clothing, wear them in layers. Like, for instance, wear a vest and then wear a t-shirt and then a jacket and top. Also try to keep your head, hands and feet dry as well. You should also be very careful of what is known as frostbite. There are some parts of our body which are very susceptible to frostbite. For instance, your ears, your head, your hands and feet. You should always try to keep those warm by wearing maybe a headscarf or a hat. Try to cover your ears. You can put gloves on, protect your hands, and you can also wear things like boots so that your feet can be warm. And try to stay dry at all times, because wet clothing can make you feel even more cold. Another issue we should also look at for our health to try and stay hydrated, to drink as much fluid as possible, especially warm beverages like your tea, your coffee. Although you should avoid things like caffeine because they also have their health effects. Another thing which we should also can help you keep warm also is to stay physically active and improve your maybe by exercising, your activeness by maybe exercising. That will help keep your body warm. As for the older people, generally we would recommend, especially during extreme low temperatures, just to generally stay indoors if you can. If you can avoid going outdoors and feel fine when staying indoors. It must be noted that when it's a windy day, it tends to be colder. We have what we call what is known as a chill factor. When the temperature, we might say the temperature is expected to be 2 degrees, but on your body it will feel like it's a negative temperature. So if it's a windy day and it's cold, try and stay indoors.
You heard it here first, folks. Thank you, Mr. Sehun, so much. I do hope everybody takes care of themselves. I do think you get pretty sound advice. And we thank you for your time. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you so much, Mr. Stanley, for coming through. Nicole, I know you'll be back again, or even with Bato next week, Wednesday. But for somebody who wants to learn more or probably find out more about Sustain 267, where can one find you on social media?
We are everywhere. We are on Facebook, Sustain 267. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. I highly, highly, highly recommend checking out our social media pages. We have a very exciting local conference of youth coming up, so that's fun. And highly recommend checking out our social media pages.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Take care of yourself.